What's going on, guys? Today we are at home and we are going to be editing some of your photos. Actually through an email address that I completely forgot about. I set it up last year when my TikTok blew up. And today we are going to be editing some of the photos through the emails that you guys have sent in. So if you do want to send some photos in, I will be doing more of these, then feel free to send them to the email address in the description below. Now, as I said, some of these photos are from well over a year ago, and I've been quite neglectful on it. And I am so sorry about that. But I'm getting around to it, and today's the day, so let's do that. So this first one is from the user JustAvantTM. This was sent, as you can see by the date by here. This was on the 10th of February last year, so it is over a year ago. But we've got this nice photo here. It's only a JPEG, so I'm not going to be able to do much with it. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and mute these greens. So the very first thing I'm going to do is come to the slider. I'm going to bring those shadows down so it separates the horse, because you can see the highlights hitting along this horse by here. So we're going to try and have this horse pop out that little bit more. As you can see, it's already started coming through. But with the increase of contrast, the vibrance has been affected by it, or the saturation has been affected as well. So we're going to go into saturation now and bring those greens down. And we're going to bring the luminance down with that as well. Go to the hue slider. Going to bring that down. So as greens have already started getting a little bit more muted. You can see a little before and after by there. We haven't even touched the exposure part of this yet, and because we've dropped now this the saturation and the shadows, bring exposure up a little bit to make this horse pop a little bit more, and then bring that shadows down even more. The contrast is still there, but I'm going to bring it up ever so slightly, and you can see, watch the histogram now. There's the contrast effects, how far apart the shadows and highlights are. So I'll bring that contrast up ever so slightly, but I'm starting to lose the blues a little bit. So I'll bring the exposure up just to bring them back in. And the horse is getting blown out, so I'll bring the highlights down ever so slightly. Let's go down. And we'll really just have a play about now. So we're going to go into the tone curves. I'm going to drop these shadows a little. Nope, going to raise them up a little bit. Yeah, I kind of like those tones. Just remember, whatever you do with the tone curves, it's good to copy it across all red, green and blue spectrums. Now we can see nice before and after. There you go. So JustAvantTM, here's your photo. I hope you like it. Okay, so the second one is from Jackie Pritchard, and as again you can see on the date by here, we're getting closer to today's date, but we're still December 2020. So I do apologize for that. We have, it looks like Penavan Mountain, I want to say. The very first thing I noticed is you've got birds flying by here, so I'm going to get rid of those by getting to this tool by here. And what it does, it's like a smart detection tool, and it will try and pick out a piece that it believes it's similar to help you cover up those backgrounds ever so slightly. So we've done that. We've got some more over here. Let's get rid of these birds first. Get rid of that one. Get rid of that one. It's sort of like a fill tool that you find on Photoshop. I think that's all of them. We've got one more bird over here. And once we've got rid of these, now we can start working into the edit. So this is done during this is December at 3:20. So we're starting to go into the golden hour, maybe even just past sunset for December, because sunset's quite early in December time. First thing I'm going to do is bring exposure up, see what I'm working with, see where the highlights are. Exposure down. You can see now the highlights from the clouds are quite nice here. So what I'll do is I'll grab this gradient tool from over here. I'll drag this down. I always keep the exposure up just to see what I'm working with, and then reset that and bring that exposure down so we can start getting this nice little contrast between the foreground and background. Now I do believe this could be cropped in, because if you can see by here, it's on the top third, the horizon line. And I like the symmetry to be directly in the middle. So we're going to play around with some cropping and we're going to see what we can work with. Because there's so much negative space that we don't really want that there. So it's already started. We'll bring that back actually. There's not much detail to go around. Normally I would like to bring that into the center, but it's not much detail in the background, so this must have been taken on a phone or something. But again, it's 4,000 by 3,000 pixels, so it might be a camera, just an entry-level camera, which is fine. Work with what you got. Very fitting now, because I've dropped the exposure in the background. I'm going to bring that exposure up, bring the contrast up, because it's quite flat. It is quite a flat image, so we're going to bring that contrast up, make it nice and moody. Let's bring the temperature down. No, bring it. Yeah, we're going to bring the temperature up because it's golden hour or just past sunset, so we want to keep those tones there. And these oranges are quite murky looking oranges. So what we can do now is go down to our hue slider, and with the yellows, we're going to try and emulate that golden hour. So you can see, look at the clouds over here. If I reset that, it's gone quite murky. Quite a nice tungsten, bring down the oranges as well. Greens might be affected by the oranges because green value holds orange inside them as well. Now those clouds are starting to get a bit more definition. Because we've also put a gradient filter on the background to decrease exposure. I'm also going to do one for this foreground by here, because if you look, let's undo that. This is all quite a lot of shadows in this part of it. So we're trying to equal out the water to this part over here, so everything's nice and level. Not too much, so we still got a little bit of gradient. There's information on the histogram, still reading quite a lot in the highlights, so all of this is taking over the dominant part of the images versus where the opposite side of the sun is. So that's where all shadows are going to be over there. Okay, just going to add a little contrast to it. Contrast curve, maybe a bit too much there, so we'll bring the shadows up. And with the saturation, just desaturate those greens so it becomes this nice moody autumnal. So we've already muted those greens again, so we've got a nice separation. It's sort of like this is like the autumnal version of orange and teal. So yellows up, bring saturation up so it separates, because I want to oversaturate those oranges and undersaturate those greens, so it's got a nice separation. Kind of sort of losing the greens a little bit, so we're going to bring the luminance back up so we can still see them. See the sun hitting over here, and I think that's about all I'm going to do to this image. Just mess around with the dehaze, just bring the dehaze down so it's kind of dreamy a little bit. Yeah, I'm liking that image. Yeah. So here's a nice before and after. You can see it's not a massive change in it. But Jackie, I hope you like this photo. Okay, so the next image we have now is from the user, The World at Our Feet. She said she's a travel blogger. I'll tag her in the description below. This is going on YouTube, not TikTok. So I hope you get to see this because it is a really nice image. Your head's quite central. The horizon line's quite even. Rule of thirds are followed. I'm going to mess around with a couple of my presets, actually. Let's see what we got here. So with, I did use these originally for travel presets. You can find them over on my Etsy account. So let's go through Moody Trees. Now presets are made as a starting point, not as a final image. So if it doesn't look right, it's because you still haven't messed with it. So instantly I can see that for the histogram, the shadows are lifted too much and the highlights are lifted dropped too much. So just bring those back in, and we're starting to already see a great difference in it. Let's bring that exposure down ever so slightly, and we'll bring down the shadows. No, we'll keep the shadows up. Let's bring the highlights up so we've got a nice strong, because there's nice warm feeling in it. Bring that temperature slider up ever so slightly. Bit of redness on the skin, so we're going to try and solve that now. So go to saturation, and we drop those reds. So her skin tone should start coming back up a little bit. Let's bring down the oranges as well. And there we go. It's quite a nice, pleasing image using one of my presets as a base. So, Jackie, I hope you like this image. It's a beautiful photo, and I hope you use it. Okay, so this image has come from Katie Harvey. This image was sent in last year again. It's quite a nice image. Got some nice dramatic clouds in the background. Got a leading line going up to our subject, which is these guys in the middle. This probably, is this Katie? I hope. If this is you, Katie, hello, nice to see you. You look happy. If it's not, then taking photos in public of other people, I hope you don't mind. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop those shadows, just really contrast those shadows. And we've got nice highlights hitting the sky and all the blues in the sky as well. So we're going to bring the highlights up as well for some nice separation. Let's bring the clarity slider up ever so slightly, because it's on a phone, the clarity won't really do much, so you can only do it ever so slightly. Let's bring the saturation down, bring the vibrance up. So we've got the vibrant tones, but it's a desaturated colours. So the saturation affects how strong the colour is, and the vibrance affects how bright the colours are, if that makes sense. It does to me. It took a while for my head to get around it, but that's how it goes. I'm going to desaturate those greens, make it real moody. Bring up those oranges, because we've got these orange tones in the bushes by here. So oranges and yellows can be brought up with it. Maybe even the reds. Let's go for a hue slider, see what this affects. Yeah, so all these bushes are inside the greens. And I'm going to play around with this brush, because it's got a nice little exposure thing. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do this as bring up the path as its leading line. So we want the eyes to focus towards this leading line. Really separates it. Put a little extra exposure on the people there. Let's bring a bit more contrast down. Because this now's coming to the, now it's ended up a bit underexposed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that exposure up ever so slightly. Let's see if we can get those bushes to come out a little bit more. Too cold, too cold. Just play about your image. See what works, see what doesn't. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't, that's okay. At least you tried. And let's have a look a little before and after. And yeah, it's a slight improvement. And I do like it. So Katie, I hope you like this image. And thank you for sending it in. If you want to send your photos in for me to edit, send them into the email address in the description below, or by here, shutterdownedits@gmail.com, and I will get around to seeing your images, and I will do more videos like this, and I hope you enjoyed them. And if I edited some of your images today, let me know what you thought. Leave it into the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.